If your aloe vera hasn't pushed out a single pup in over 3 months, the problem almost certainly isn't sunlight, and it isn't water. It's happening right now in the top 2 centimeters of your soil, in a layer of compacted fungal matter that is physically blocking every reproductive signal your plant is trying to send. And there's something sitting in your kitchen right now, something that professional nurseries have been quietly dusting onto their stock plants for years, that eliminates that barrier completely and triggers root-level pup signaling within weeks. We're going to get to exactly what it is and precisely how to use it. 2 methods, 2 very different plant situations. But first, you need to understand why your aloe vera stopped reproducing in the first place, because the biological reason is genuinely stranger than anything you've read in a care guide. By the end of this video, you'll be able to look at the base of your aloe vera and know exactly which of these 2 methods applies to your plant today. And you'll be able to start fixing it before you even close this tab. Okay, so here's the thing. Most people get completely backwards about aloe vera. We treat it like a plant that rewards attention. More water, more care, more nutrients, more growth, right? That's how we think about it. And that assumption is exactly why so many aloe vera plants sit in their pots for months, looking fine, producing absolutely nothing. Aloe vera is a survival architect. It doesn't reproduce when it's comfortable. It reproduces when it senses conditions that could threaten the mother plant. When the root system is expanding, when it detects space below the soil surface, when the biological signals at the root zone say, now is the time. The moment you overwater, you don't just risk root rot. You compact the soil, you introduce anaerobic conditions, and you create the exact microenvironment where fungal spores, specifically species from the Fusarium and Pythium families, colonize the top layer of your growing medium and form a biological seal. Imagine the soil surface as a locked door. The pups are trying to push through, but the fungi have sealed it shut. The plant is trying to send the signal. The signal isn't getting out. And you can actually see the signs of this if you know what to look for. A slightly darkened, almost greasy texture on the soil surface, compacted texture that doesn't break up easily when you press it, and, most telling, an absence of any small green buds at the very base of the main stem. Nothing. Just sealed off soil and a plant that looks healthy but hasn't grown a new offset in months. And here's what's wild. The thing that breaks that seal, eliminates those fungal colonies, and restores root zone signaling is not a fungicide you buy at a garden center. It's not a specialized succulent supplement. It's sitting on a shelf in your kitchen right now, and it costs almost nothing. And I want you to stay with me here, because the how and the why matter enormously. There are 2 completely different ways to use it, and using the wrong one for your plant situation is almost as bad as using nothing at all. The second method is the one most people never reach, and it's the more powerful one. So give me a moment before we get there. The ingredient is cinnamon, pure cinnamon powder. And look, I know. Yes, cinnamon. The thing next to your coffee. That's what we're talking about. But here's why it works, because this is the part that stopped me cold when I first read the research. Cinnamon is simultaneously a natural fungicide, a natural bactericide, and a rooting hormone activator, all 3. Not one of those things. All 3 at the same time. The compound cinnamaldehyde directly disrupts the cell membranes of the fungal species that accumulate in compacted succulent soil. It doesn't just slow them down, it eliminates them at the root surface. And then, here's where it gets genuinely extraordinary, the same compound stimulates auxin production in damaged root tissue. Auxin is the hormone that tells a plant to generate new root growth. Which means cinnamon isn't just clearing the blockage, it's actively sending the signal that triggers the reproductive response. It's working on 2 levels simultaneously, one ingredient doing the job of a whole shelf of products, and it's been sitting in your kitchen the entire time. Right? So, method 1, the preventive application. This is for plants that are in reasonable shape but have stopped producing pups, or for plants you want to keep in optimal reproductive condition from here on. You don't need to repot. You don't need to disturb anything. Take pure cinnamon. Pure powder only, not cinnamon sugar, not a blend, and I cannot stress this enough, and scatter a generous tablespoon directly at the base of the plant. Then, gently work it into the top 2 centimeters of soil using your finger or a small tool. Not deep. just the surface layer where those fungal colonies are concentrated. That's it. What happens next? The cinnamaldehyde begins breaking down the fungal seal. The soil surface becomes permeable again to light and oxygen, and the root tips at the base of the plant, which have been essentially starved of the signals they need, start receiving the kind of environmental input that triggers offset production. You'll notice improved leaf color first, sometimes within a week or two. Then the leaves will appear slightly thicker, more robust. And then, usually between 3 and 6 weeks, you'll start to see it. Small green buds at the base of the stem, pushing toward light. Pups. Emerging because you removed the thing that was blocking them. If you're still here and haven't already gone to check your aloe soil surface, hit subscribe to Home Plants Hacks, because we go this specific every single week, and there's a lot more where this came from. Now, Method 2. This is the one I want you to pay close attention to, because this is the application that produces the most dramatic results. And it's the one most people never try because it requires a little more commitment. This is for plants that are already large, well-established, clearly healthy in leaf, but not reproducing. Plants that have essentially settled into a kind of biological plateau. And the reason this method is more powerful comes down to something happening at the actual root surface that the first method can't fully reach. Old root damage, dead root tissue, and residual fungal contamination from previous soil that's been in contact with the root base for months or years. Here's what you do. Remove the plant from its pot. Look at the root system. Any roots that are black, soft, or mushy. Cut them back cleanly with sterilized scissors. Don't be afraid of this. You're not hurting the plant. You're removing dead tissue that's actively suppressing growth signals. Then, before you do anything else, coat the entire base of the plant and all the exposed root tissue in cinnamon powder. Generously, but evenly. Here's the specific mistake people make. Applying too thick a layer in one concentrated spot creates an airtight coating that blocks root oxygen exchange. You want a thin, thorough, even coat. Think dusting, not packing. Then repot into a well-draining substrate, a mix with at least 20 to 30% perlite or coarse river sand. This matters because the newly stimulated root tissue needs oxygen to complete the regeneration cycle. Dense soil at this stage is counterproductive. What you've done with the cinnamon coating is eliminate residual fungal spores from old soil contact and delivered a rooting hormone signal directly to the root tissue. The plant will read this as a cue to regenerate, and reproduction follows regeneration. Address the follow-up question everyone has. How often? Every repotting cycle. Apply Method 2. For maintenance between repots, Method 1 every 3 months is enough. And one more thing while we're here, because this is actually one of the most useful extensions of this whole approach. When you separate pups from the mother plant, which you will be doing because you're going to have more than you know what to do with, apply cinnamon to both the cut point on the mother plant and the base of the separated pup before it goes into soil. It seals the wound, prevents bacterial and fungal intrusion at the cut site, and gives the new pup an immediate rooting hormone boost. Both plants recover faster, both thrive. Before we wrap up, drop a comment and tell me, has your aloe vera been sitting in the same pot for more than 6 months without producing a single pup? Because I want to know how many people watching this are about to have the same moment I did, standing in their kitchen holding a jar of cinnamon, genuinely unable to believe the answer was right there. This plant has been trying to multiply. It just needed the door unlocked.